Let's get it on!
Sprawl and brawl, ground and pound. Get ready for an MMA showdown. Now, the ultimate Octagon insiders, Sean and Tristan Ducross.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors. Thank you guys for tuning into us. Trying a little bit something different here today, so I hope you guys like it. In the meantime, I'm Tristan Ducross. Along my side, it's always my partner in crime, the one and only Sean Ducross. So today's show, finally it's happening. It's right there knocking on the door. Saturday, UFC 249 is going down. So that's going to be incredible. So we got that card that we're going to talk about. In other news, we got Bellator coming out saying that they have an idea of how to put on fights. So that's an interesting little tidbit because some people were like skeptical about it, but we'll break that down and so much more with the brothers. But in the meantime, let's get to the hottest topic that's going down in Jacksonville. Fighters have already shown up. They're already game ready for their fights on Saturday. UFC 249, finally, Sean, it is happening. No more postponement. No more, is it going to happen? It is going to happen.
And it's going to happen in unique circumstances and a unique time frame. It's one of those things that you can't exactly predict or know that it was going to all come to fruition. But here we are, knocking on the door, May 9th. We get some sense of normality back. And yeah, you know what? We've been outspoken about we don't want this. But it's here, so we might as well embrace it, right? That's what it comes down to. Embrace the weird. That's been my whole model through this whole pandemic thing is embrace the weird. Embrace the uncomfortability of
the situation at hand.
Of whatever may come from whatever is out there right now.
Yeah. Now you're headlined by Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje, which originally, I mean, this card, even though that it is stacked from top to bottom, and we have strongly thought about where it can actually go, is that at this point in time, Sean, it has happened that we've had a lot of fallout with fighters and a lot of what ifs, is that Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje is the main event.
Yes.
It is going to happen. No more fighters at this point have pulled out or are going to pull out. So Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, you got Henry Cejudo, Dominic Cruz. Those are your headliners. And I'm okay with it. The interesting thing that I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about the Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje is, Sean, is that we're talking about Justin Gaethje finally getting a title shot.
Absolutely. Getting what he felt has been deserving to him.
And kind of rightfully so. It's not horrible. It's not horrible when you're looking at Justin Gaethje, who is a man that I tend to believe. And I'll tell you why. Because when this guy says that he has adapted or changed his style, he tends to do that. Yeah.
When he says that he needed to slow down in his fight IQ, and he does that. But does he?
So there's a lot of things that I tend to believe him when he comes into this. Like he said that this is the best fight camp he's had. He's had, I think, something like 10 months that he has mentally, physically prepared for this fight. I don't put it past him. I don't.
See, you said that he's altered and he's changed from what he once was. I don't see that from him. The only thing I've seen him not do as frequent as he used to do in World Series fighting was the fact that he doesn't throw his leg kicks as much or hasn't in the last couple of fights. I want to see him get back to that. If he gets back to that, Tristan, it doesn't matter what Tony Ferguson is going to do. And it was interesting because I brought this up on Cited the other day, was that I asked the fight fans, okay, who do you got, Tony Ferguson or Justin? 52% said that they've got Tony Ferguson. 47% said they got Justin. It's almost split down the middle of who's going to go for who. And it's very easy to sway either way because you're looking not necessarily at the same style of fighter, but in a sense, for me, they almost are, because I say that they both are uncomfortable to be in that octagon with. Because you don't know, for Tony Ferguson, you don't know from one way to the next if he's going to get all quirky and throw a capoeira kick or something like that, do a cartwheel. You don't know. When you get Justin Gaethje, you don't know if he's going to throw his heavy-handed kicks. For all you know, he may go very well into this match and say, you know what? Let me go wrestling. Because what many people fail to realize, Justin Gaethje is a world-class wrestler. But wait, so is Tony Ferguson. So this could go so many different ways.
100%. This could go so many ways. But Tony Ferguson, while I think that he is one of the most well-rounded fighters and one of the fighters that could probably do a lot more than a lot of people can, my thinking, and it might happen, is that Justin Gaethje has a lot of power, right?
Oh, absolutely. Power for days.
The thing that kind of sways me to Justin Gaethje and picking him as my winner is because Justin Gaethje has that power. Yes, he could do several different things inside that cage. Tony Ferguson has a suspected chin.
Yeah, and I go back to
getting clipped is very real. But he has never faced a fighter that has been able to capitalize on that suspect chin.
And you know what? That's a very good point, because that's something that I was going to bring up, is that one of the fights that stands out why I believe Justin Gaethje can dethrone Tony Ferguson is because I go back to the Anthony Pettis fight versus Tony Ferguson. When Anthony Pettis, we're resorted back to the old school Showtime days, put one-on-one on one of his best fights in quite some time, and he took him to the woodshed, bloodied, battered him, rocked, staggered him. And then it wasn't until a broken hand dethroned Anthony Pettis. And he couldn't continue the same pace and the same style throughout the fight. You're going to run into a buzzsaw in Justin. There is no give. There is no relentless. He's going to fight in that phone booth and go straight at Ferguson. How is Ferguson going to stand a guy that is relentless? That is the key. Relentless.
Who do you have coming out of this as the new champion?
Justin.
See, I'm going with Justin too. I think the idea that Tony Ferguson is here, the idea that Justin Gaethje's here. Here's another situation that why I think Justin Gaethje's going to win this fight is it comes down to the mindset. There's two different mindsets. There's one where Tony Ferguson believes he is the champion, right? Then Justin Gaethje believes that he needs this title. Two different mindsets, two different mentalities going inside the cage. If one believes that he has won, that he has already won, that he has the title, that might be a bad mindset going into a big time fight like that.
Absolutely.
And Justin Gaethje being like, man, I need this fight, I need this title more than anything to justify his legacy and his career. That's a different mindset. Going forward, I think Justin Gaethje with that mindset is right, and the falsehood of already being this bravado that he is the champion of Tony Ferguson, I'm going to go Justin Gaethje. And a lot of people out there all rooting for Tony Ferguson. Everybody out here is SoCal, Tony, everybody. And just everything that I have seen and critiqued. I mean, Tony Ferguson can do all the one-arm push-ups on tree trunks. All he wants. Come game time, apples to oranges, it's going to be Justin Gaethje for me. And then you also look at on the co-main event, which is Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz. Again, I'm thinking the same kind of mindset, right? I think Dominic Cruz needs this fight, and I think he needs this title. Henry Cejudo, he just keeps talking and talking and talking and talking.
You talk about that bravado. Henry Cejudo has that. And when you look at the transition to where we're at right now, Tristan, in terms of ability to talk and ability to convey your message, Henry Cejudo has that capability right now to sell a fight. And it was mentioned that it was asked cited that, okay, who do you have? Dominic Cruz or you have Henry Cejudo? And quickly, my thinking was, well, it's an easy debate. It really is. It is a clean cookie cutter debate more than anything else on paper. Like when you look at Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje, that is about as split down the middle as you can get. But when you get to Dominic Cruz and you get to that of Henry Cejudo, to me, it's more a little bit lopsided in the favor of Henry Cejudo because Dominic Cruz, injuries, layoff, all matter.
That's exactly why I think he needs it.
Matter. Yeah, he needs this. I don't think the outcome is favorable. And I say that because of the fact that if Henry Cejudo can come out and lay out, what's his name, TJ Dillashaw, then there is no way that a aging veteran who has injuries and a layoff can come in and go ahead and compete against a guy who is a high-level caliber striker as well as wrestler in terms of Henry Cejudo. Striker-wise, I'd probably give the edge to Dominic Cruz, but wrestling, the grip strength, I've got to favor Henry Cejudo.
If he could get it to the ground, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But if Dominic Cruz comes in there and he's bouncing around and he's sticking out that jab and he's keeping that distance and he looks electrifying, it is bad news and a bad matchup for Henry Cejudo. And that title might be coming back to Dominic Cruz. That's the way that I see this. These two fights are almost parallel to one of another because of the direction that they have gone and where they are going. And these title fights could change the landscape of the direction of where the UFC is going in the near future.
And you're looking at UFC 229. It's changing the landscape. 249. The landscape of mixed martial arts to begin with on a number of levels. The fact that this is going to be in front of no fans. The fact that it's for an interim lightweight title. The fact that it's Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje headlining this. There's a lot of parallels that we're talking about the altering.
Sean, that reminds me. Sorry to kind of cut you off because you brought up the no crowds. What's your thought process of, because we're brothers, so the social distancing, it doesn't really apply here. But to have the commentators at separate tables away from each other, how's that chemistry or the camaraderie that they have going to kind of come out onto television? Because a lot of times, at least to us, we feed off of each other. Like if you see something, there's an emotion, there's something that you feel when you're right next to each other and you're calling a fight, right?
Yeah.
So if you take away that kind of idea, you've seen all the videos with like Joe Rogan, Daniel Cormier, and so on, and John Anik, and the way that they feed off of each other. It's something to behold when you actually see the videos of the reactions. If you take that away, what's the presentation going to be like? You get what I'm saying?
Well, that's the whole thing, is what's the presentation going to be like? This whole pay-per-view is going to set the tone for the UFC going forward, for what the future of MMA is going to be like going forward. Like I was going to say, as you were getting into the safety protocols and stuff like that, is that if Justin Gaethje wins, it changes everything. If Dominic Cruz, it changes everything. So everything's already been changed. Everything's already been tweaked. You talk about the UFC protocol, but yet you stay on this fight card real quick and you look at another guy that drawn a parallel of where is his career going. Sam Alvey came out and said that if he loses again, he has a fear that UFC is going to cut him. He's had so many fights, pull out, draw out. It's like, how focused is he for this fight?
He's the one guy that has literally been ready for UFC 249 since day one.
Yeah. And then you look at everything and you're talking about the protocols. John Anik, Joe Rogan, DC, all going to do commentary for this. You're talking about them being 6 feet apart. How well is that going to play off? Well, they're not going to do in-cage interviews.
Yep. No in-cage
bring
interviews.
the fighters outside of the cage into an isolated area with a sanitized headset.
Sean, who did that before?
Where Joe Rogan is going to be several feet apart.
Hey, who's done that before?
Oh, yeah, we have.
Dave Bramlett, Lorenz Larkin. Somebody's watching us. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting presentation. UFC 249. It's happening Saturday
with no fans.
No fans.
But here's the things.
I'm kind of ecstatic that I get to see a fight.
Yeah, but here are the interesting tidbits that are going into UFC 249. Okay, let's make this perfectly clear for the fans. Fighters and corners will be tested today.
Yes.
And then they will be self-isolated, waiting for results up to 24 hours. They'll get the results back in 24 hours. They'll be tested for COVID-19 and the antibodies. They have enough test kits for everybody. The only test kits that they're worried about a little bit is the following week's fight cards. But they said they'll work that out. They'll have individual medic screening. Individuals will be done temperature-wise. Will be tested for the temperature, and they'll be done every day of every minute as they are being walking around. They'll have their own hotel room where it'll be isolated, where they have the ability to have mats, sanitized mats, and everything else that they'll need, as well as I believe they said they'll have a sauna for them.
Yes. So all precautions are there.
That nobody else will be there. The production is going to be interesting. You talked about the production. The production generally is about 130 people. They're now down to about 80 something. They're going to have a mobile group and then a production truck group.
Yes.
So normally they have everybody in a production group in their truck. This time they're not having that. So they separated them into two. The people that are going to be in the truck are going to be separated by plexiglass.
Yeah. So you and I both know about what
partitions.
And you and I both know about mobile production because, again, to be scaled down, to have a scaled down crew and mobile production, we've actually been part of something like that. So we know how intense it is and the constant where you have to keep talking to people. You have to keep it up. You got to know when your cuts, when your feeds are, where you need to be at all times, where you're moving to. You got to be one step ahead every single step of the way. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of hiccups. I'm sure there is. And it's going to be an interesting thing to see. But UFC 249 is going down. As much as I disagree with the fact that we are putting people into harm's way, I get it. I get to do my job, so it's all good. UFC 249, guys. It's going to be interesting Saturday night. So looking forward to seeing everybody's reactions coming down the pipeline for that. In the meantime, we are going to go to a break. And then coming out of the break, we got other news. We got Bellator. We have Vitor Belfort. Have you guys seen what this guy looks like now? More with the new Cross Brothers Sports Warriors right here. Stay tuned. Smash that like button. Show your support. And we'll be right back after this break. The new Cross Brothers Sports Warriors, a combat sports talk show where we talk about Muay Thai, MMA, wrestling, you name it. Anything that is done inside of a squared circle, we got you guys covered. We are the new Cross Brothers, Sean and Tristan Ducross. All right, everybody, we are back. We are still here. We are the Ducross brothers. I'm Tristan Ducross. This is my brother, Sean Ducross. Right back there, as you see. Right above me, ILoveAnti.com for all your CBD needs. Use the promo code DucrossBros and get 10% off. You can go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and then hit the bell notification. You can follow us on there as well. We're also on iTunes. So, Sean, Bellator MMA says the landscape of mixed martial arts is changing because of COVID-19.
It is. It is. And it's all about adapting and who your backers are. And we all heard it this week that, well, there's discussion that they're going to go on a sound stage somewhere in LA.
It could be at Paramount. It could be at CBS Studios.
Well, that's the interesting thing is that it says on a Hollywood studio lot. So the first one I came up with is, wait, LA? Universal Studios.
Yeah.
The backlot where 90% of the shows are filmed. Like
I immediately thought too, Universal Studios, because I immediately jumped to Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
Impact Wrestling used to have it. NWA Power has gone back to studio wrestling.
Yep.
So it is very possible that they could do an MMA show out of a soundstage and do it really well out of it. Especially when you have the Paramount money and you have the backing that Bellator has. You have money to make it something unique and something special.
Absolutely.
It's possible.
Absolutely. And when you talk about Viacom has pockets. They are super deep. They're loaded. They got connections all over the spectrum. Like you said, Paramount. They could do it at probably Universal Studios. It's endless. It's really endless. And what they could probably do is unique compared to what the UFC can probably do. Because of the fact Viacom is a production. That's what they do. They've got people in that area. Not to take anything away from what UFC does. UFC tries to do everything on a grander scale. Bellator can do it on a much smaller, kind of like what Impact does. Kind of what AEW is doing kind of thing. Where you've got UFC trying to do like what WWE is doing. And trying to go big or extravaganza. It could be a hit and miss. These are going to be trying days to really figure out what we're going to look like.
Kind of how we're going to get UFC and not think about, wow, there's no fans there.
Right?
That's my issue. That's my thinking, is that how are we going to take away the fact that we know there are no fans there? Bellator could do that at a soundstage because
Bellator
they could
could create
feed
it for
in
sure.
audio. Impact fed in audio, where they have chants of Impact Wrestling, Moose, they had audio in the back. So while you were watching, you can get it.
That reminds me to go back to the first one, to UFC 249. That's what the UFC is going to do. They're going to be emphasizing the audio on the corners, coaching, the fighters, the sound between the fighters, the punches and the kicks. Where does that sound like it's coming from? The parallels are there, and it is slightly entertaining.
Yeah, so Bellator also made, Scott Coker also made the announcement that big-time fights at big-time arenas are probably going to be far in between and probably be done. That's why he's thinking smaller venues. He's thinking smaller venues, soundstage. He just thinks that's the realistic possibility of MMA, at least into 2020 and possibly 2021.
And that's what I'm hearing right now, Tristan, is that they're only going to have in venues like 15,000 people. The days of 50,000 seat arenas are gone.
You might see them more out here at Temecula, at Pachanga.
Probably. Or any small type of venues that could seat maybe 15,000 or 20,000. You may have that. But people want to admit it or not, that's going to be the next debate that people are going to have to come to terms with it. It's just like restaurants. Restaurants are going to change. You're not going to be able to have over 200 people in a restaurant. You maybe have about 50 people in a restaurant.
And the servers might be wearing a mask and gloves.
That's probably not going to happen anymore. But the changes, the social distancing is still going to be there. That's not going to go anywhere.
No, adjustments are going to have to be made.
Yeah, and people are going to have to realize that aspect. And the sports are going to... It's going to take some time to adapt to. It really is. And
you've seen the photos of the arenas that are allowing fans, that have made adjustments to allowing fans in.
Yeah, like the boxing card in Nicaragua.
Yeah, and we showed the photos on last week's show. So if you want to see last week's show, go to our YouTube station. And it is going to have to kind of be an understanding that your normal for combat sports or sports in general is gone for now, at least. You are going to have to be open and receptive to the idea that the social distancing, when fans come back, is going to be there. It's just going to look weird.
It is. And again, my motto, embrace the weird. Embrace the weird.
Embrace the new normal.
Stop complaining about it. Embrace the weird. That's what we have to do going forward when it comes to dealing with what sports is going to look, whether it's combat or traditional sports like baseball, hockey, whatever it may be. It's all going to be altered. And once people start to embrace that, we'll then really come to terms about what we're looking at. When you look at the photo that you posted,
bickering, complaining ain't going to do anybody any good.
Like when you shared the Nicaragua boxing card and the people were about, the seats were staggered and people were 6 feet apart and it looked weird. And you had basically a distance, probably what looked to be maybe about 20 feet between the barricade and before you got to the ring. That was crazy to see that.
Is it just me or is it, I was like, I'm not going to lie, that's some good seating. I got nobody in front of me to obstruct my view of seeing the fights. So I'm like, dude, where do I sign up for some tickets so I can sit and get free reign to see what is actually in front of me without having drunk people next to me or having some big guy standing up in front of me and I can't see what's going on in front of me? Where do I sign up for that? Because that's going to be the ultimate end game for a lot of these promotions. Right. And a lot of the promotions right now are even talks that we could see fans. So UFC has 2 fight cards coming up.
Yes.
One's on the 13th and one's on the 16th, correct? Something like that. We could possibly see fans by the last card for the UFC.
Well, they're already talking about that. We're on the verge of opening up in California.
Yes.
We're about ready to enter phase 2 this week. So I don't know what to expect right now, except for like the The people in Texas, apparently, from doing all that protesting, 70% of them got hit with COVID. So then that makes me leery about, are we really ready to open up? Are we really to adhere to social distancing? That's the concern. It's not, people, it's not about gathering. It's the fact that if I touch you, graze you,
and you're sick, you're going to get it.
You're going to probably get this stupid disease. It's ridiculous. It's not that hard to stay 6 feet apart from an individual. It really isn't, people. Why do you got to be all up in everybody's grill?
My job put in social distancing guidelines.
That's everybody has. Everybody has.
So you just gotta take it for what it is. Sean says it best. Embrace the weird.
And when you don't want to talk about embracing the weird, you can embrace the weird by
Vitor Belfort.
Well, that one, we'll get to that one in a second, but embrace the weird. The one thing that you posted that kind of got good reviews, which surprised me a little bit.
Which one?
Was, I wish I could pronounce it, but it's in short, Team Combat.
Oh.
TTC.
Yes.
I can't say the first half, so I'm just going to call it Team Combat, TTC. You can Google it by TTC, or we'll post it in the description later.
Right. That is kind of weird.
So this is weird.
Tag team back again.
But it's really not. It looked that way in the video, but when you watched it, it really wasn't. But it was weird in the sense that, so you get a team of 4 in a narrow, like, hallway type of ring. There is no holding, there is no grabbing, there is no headbutting, there is no throat punching, there is no eye gouging, there is no hair pulling. Basically anything and everything, there is no nothing except for that you fight in this little hallway with a boxing ring shaped hallway, and you got 4 teammates. 1 enters, the other 4
stand right there on the ropes, right?
While the other 2 go to war in a closed quarter combat with about what looked to be 4-ounce gloves. My goodness. It was slightly entertaining. And your poll on Cited got good reviews. That 72% of the people that voted.
This is true.
Were like, hey, I'll watch it. So then last night I got suckered into watching it. I was like, ooh, this is actually entertaining. Like you're fighting with 4-ounce gloves, close quarter combat. But
like in a phone booth.
But the interesting thing is that they classify themselves as professional boxing, but yet you can throw kicks and throw backhands, spinning back fists. Like, really? That's not boxing. That is not boxing at all.
Dude.
That's kickboxing.
What's the other thing? So, as Sean has mentioned now like twice, is that we are part of a website called Cited.co, and we are where we get to talk and interact with a whole bunch of different fans of sports in general.
We get to put up fun polls.
Right.
Instead of doing like polls here and say, oh, here, vote.
And it's funny because one of them that got rave reviews, which was it was funny because I mentioned this, Sean, and this man is Mike Tyson at 53 years old, and it ties into Vitor Belfort too. But it's weird because I posted a comment about this because I heard about it before anybody.
Apparently it was lingering out there for a minute, but it was funny how when we shared it, it just blew up.
But I made a comment that remember where you heard it first. Remember where you heard it first. Because when I made this post and I made this comment was because I watched Shaquille O'Neal's
podcast.
No, he has a reality TV show on the USA Network.
Okay.
So being quarantined, being on TV. Yes.
Okay.
His kids, you name it, he talks about everything, over the moon. He was sitting with Mike Tyson, and he was just jokingly said, dude, wow, you're in good shape. Not so much me anymore. I love my pizza. And then he plugs in Papa John's.
Of course he does.
And then Mike Tyson said, yeah, his almost verbatim, I'm going to try to remember his exact quote is that at 53 years old, he had to get in better shape than what he was because he is constantly fighting his demons. And he said sometimes those demons want to come out and he has to push them back down. So he felt like that now was the time that he had to put in the work. He had to get back in shape to get his mind right. Not just with his marijuana business, but also with his personal life. Did it let him to believe in himself that he's like, dang, I could still go. I could still go. And then he told him, he's like, I think I'm going to throw a couple expedition fights.
It's interesting because when I look here and I see his age, 53 years old, Tristan, 53 years old. It seems like he's been around for like ever. It seems like to me, it feels like he should be about 100 years old by now. But the fact of the matter is that he's only 53, he could probably go in the heavyweight division. And when you talk about the heavyweight division, it could be for his taking. If he wanted to come back and take this seriously, he could probably push for the heavyweight title. That's how bad the heavyweight division is currently.
This is true.
You've got Wilder, Joshua, Ruiz,
and a whole bunch of lesser known people down at the bottom still.
And then that's it. That is it. It wasn't like years ago when you had all those guys, plus the Klitschko's. It was a laundry list of people.
Yeah.
Now it's not so much. So it's like, yeah, he could take it. And then I asked about, well, if you would you like to see him come back or would you like to see him mentor? A guy named Christopher Marino said that he wanted to see him mentor Wilder. And I was like,
that would be good.
I was like, huh.
Because Wilder needs to learn how to box.
Right. I was like, that's a good person to
Tyson
mentor.
can brawl and box with the best of them.
Right.
And at 53, he still looks like he has that slip. Still looks like he can do it. So even if that's the place, Sean, another guy that I saw another video was, what's his name? Beast.
Oh, James Beast Wilson.
Yes.
Dude's a savage.
Do you want to know who he was being mentored by? James Toney.
Oh yeah, lights out. I saw that a couple weeks ago on his Instagram.
Granted, I feel bad for the guy. I can't really understand half the stuff that he is saying now. But he's still, even though he is not in the shape that Tyson is, to be able to listen to him and see him interact with another boxer and tell him, when you're inside, this is what you do, and you can feint and then clip somebody on the kidneys. I'm like, that's actually a nice combo for a big guy to do to another heavyweight, because again, you don't see the technical side of a boxer when you're a heavyweight. So if you seriously think about taking Mike Tyson's knowledge of the fight game, put him inside of a squared circle with Deontay Wilder and say, hey, you could be one of the best heavyweights in the game.
Right.
If you apply yourself.
Apply to your real craft. And can you imagine, dude, he would turn that upside down. Like, bro, like, can you imagine putting Tyson and putting that power that Wilder has
because
into
that's
context?
because that's what sets Fury apart from Deontay Wilder. Fury is a boxer and has the IQ for it. Deontay Wilder is a street fighter. That is it.
He has the raw power.
Right.
And that's what he relies on. But you put that raw power into the hands
with
of
skill?
Mike Tyson? I'm surprised we haven't seen or heard more of Mike Tyson teaching the youth. That's the thing that's interesting to me, because, like, you see the videos on Instagram where he was talking to Francis Ngannou, about, oh, you do this, you slip here. Or
which would be interesting if he takes it on you. If he takes what Mike Tyson told him into UFC 249, that's going to be interesting to see.
So there's a lot of possibilities that, like, I'm surprised we haven't seen this from Tyson. So it's interesting. And you say it leads into Vitor Belfort. Yeah, because Vitor Belfort is pushing into his 40s, and he's fighting against a guy named Alan Naglani, who's 4-5 in ONE FC, but both guys look like genetic freaks. You look at Alan on Instagram.
Is he back on the TRT?
I don't know, but if you look at Allen on Instagram, you're talking about like the videos that freaking James Beast Wilson puts out. Oh my goodness, Allen, like his kicks are vicious. How this guy is 4-5 in ONE FC, but yet he owns the fastest knockout in ONE FC. It's like, hey Vitor, are you sure you want to face this guy?
So
you'd almost be hoping he does come in on TRT again.
Bro, this is his first fight in ONE FC. He looks good. He looks the part. Is he the part though?
Yeah.
Because Allen is that. So we will see. It'll be interesting to see where this fight kind of goes in Vitor Belfort's first fight, the ONE FC. We're going to go into our final break and come back out. We got a rapper challenging a former UFC champ. More with the Ducross brothers, the Sports Warriors. Be right back after this break. The Ducross Brothers, Sports Warriors, a combat sports talk show where we talk about MMA, Muay Thai, anything combat sports and pro wrestling related. Right here on the Ducross Brothers, the Sports Warriors. Welcome back, everybody. Tristan Ducross, Sean Ducross, the Ducross Brothers dared to cross that line. That's what we do. Sean, Another one
that started again. It may have been out there, but the irony behind it, the fact that we posted it, and like literally 2 minutes later, everything else just starts blowing up on the internet.
Bro,
and everybody's posted about it.
We're being watched.
Apparently so.
Big Brother's watching the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors.
And we're watching right back right now because when we post stuff like that and it just gets out there, it's like,
right?
Really? We're seeing it now.
Yes.
We're seeing you.
I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention.
Like if you're gonna go ahead and post stuff and share stuff like all over the place, like after we had already done it, like
Big Brother. But 50 Cent has come out on Twitter, on social media, on his Instagram to call out Conor McGregor.
Yeah, 50 Cent says in the street, yeah, man.
I would whoop him.
Hey, he weighs 150 pounds, man. I'll beat the out of Conor McGregor.
So are you
really?
Like, is 50 Cent really happy that he would be beating on a munchkin? Is that what he's saying?
But like I was talking on Twitter about this.
At the Ducross Bros.
Yeah, I was talking on Twitter about this. I was like, bro, like, have you seen what 50 Cent looks like on For Life? On the TV show, dude looks like straight up like a gangster. I wouldn't want to cross him outside of on the streets in a back alley somewhere. Nah, I'm good. But Conor McGregor, I'm 50-50 on this.
So am I.
Because we have seen that he has some type of boxing technique. If I remember a couple of years ago.
A little bit against Floyd.
From 50 Cent, because yeah, he was friends with Floyd at one point.
There's that training video though with 50 Cent and Floyd. So he has a little bit of technique behind it, but you're not even in the same realm as Conor McGregor.
Right?
You can't talk about taking on a professional fighter.
I don't care if he's 150
See,
pounds.
I can talk about taking on a professional fighter like Logan Paul because I want Logan Paul. Like, if anybody could get Logan Paul to take on the Ducross Brothers, I'm good with it.
Oh, like Enzo Amore and Big Cass?
Did you see Enzo?
Yeah, they're both jacked up. Like, good Lord. Like,
they on that sweet stuff in New York.
They're both yoked right now. Like, good Lord.
They on that sweet stuff in New York. That's all I'm saying.
But if Enzo and Big Cass get them, I don't think you and I should get Logan Paul or Jake Paul. We should probably go on the undercard and fight somebody a little bit smaller.
I don't care. Put me on a card on Logan Paul and Jake Paul's card. I'm good. Good. 50 Cent, Conor McGregor, you could be the main card on that freak show. And then we'll be on the undercard, on the prelims. We'll be good. Money.
Money, money, money.
But I just don't understand why or what the thought process was for 50 Cent. And don't tell me it was the 9 shots that got to him that made him think that this was a realistic possibility of him beating Conor McGregor in a street fight. Well, you ain't beating anybody in a street fight if you're taking on a mixed martial artist like Conor.
You know how much money that would do on the zone?
Dude.
Blow it
Bank.
through the roof.
Bank.
Through the roof. Records will be shattered. Combat sports will be traumatized.
Everything that we knew about combat sports would be destroyed.
Right?
Destroyed if that fight happened.
Like, you would see people burning stuff at the stake.
If people are already pissed off and mad at the world of the Pauls, this will burn everything down because there won't be anything real about a fight, about the possibility of one guy that says that he can beat him in a street fight versus an actual trained professional fighter.
Yeah, so it's like I agree with the people that said 93% of the people that voted with you and said that, yeah, Conor is a trained fighter. Not going to happen. But speaking about Conor McGregor, dude, Dana White came out and said that Conor McGregor is ready to fight and that Jorge Masvidal has other plans for Jorge Masvidal instead of Kamaru Usman. And then there's a little something that came out that I think it kind of went underneath the rug a little bit. Conor McGregor came out and said that he wants to fight on Fight Island. You know, and Dana White says that
Conor
McGregor is a 20 million draw. It'd be weird for him to fight on Fight Island with no crowds. But would it? Because you've already enticed a fan of a Mortal Kombat style aspect meets Bodog.
Do you understand how incredible that the fans would literally flock to Fight Island?
Not just that, they would buy the pay-per-view.
That is true too.
They would buy the pay-per-view just because of Conor McGregor. So you put the first ever Fight Island featuring Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal.
And you talk about the buy rates?
That's it. You're talking about a $20 million draw for the gate? Like, dude, seriously?
You will get that hands down through pay-per-view.
Every pay-per-view record just because it's headlined by Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor. And best believe, if this fight happens, you heard it here, right here, on the Cross Brothers, Wednesday, May 6th. We announced Jorge Masvidal, Conor McGregor, Fight Island. If it goes down, we're geniuses.
Biggest pay-per-view blockbuster in the history of UFC. And it goes down for the BMF title. How about that?
Right.
How about that?
You'd shatter pay-per-view buys. It's ridiculous.
BMF title.
It shouldn't be a question, bro.
No, should not be a question.
There should be no hesitation. You want money? You want the draw? You go get Conor McGregor.
You go
swing
get
him over with.
You go get Conor McGregor. You go get Jorge Masvidal. You say you guys are fighting for that BMF title.
Ooh, money! I smell that. You want to see Conor McGregor go like this again?
Right? Pay them all them strippers. That's what he'll be doing.
And we'll put more strippers on his payroll.
Yep. The roles will be reversed. Instead of Floyd Mayweather having strippers on the payroll, it'll be
Jesus.
be Conor McGregor with strippers on the payroll. Oh, you might have Dana on the payroll after that too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. If he can pull this off and pay-per-view buys go through the roof, like, yeah, dude.
And every fighter that is on
the Fighter Island before,
and everybody that's on the UFC roster, the minute that headline cracks and it says Jorge Masvidal, Conor McGregor debuts Fight Island for the BMF title, you better get your management crew, you better get your corners, you better get every single person ready and pumped up and be like, we are all in on Fight Island. You have to. Got to do it. Every fighter blowing up Dana's phone either via text or phone call better be on that fight card. All I'm saying. But Sean, that's it, dude. We're the New Cross Brothers. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Smash that like button. Share us. Hit the heart icon, the bell icon, whatever platform you're watching us right now. Show your love for the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors. Till next time, I'm Tristan Ducross. This is my brother, Sean Ducross. We are still here.